Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in the fun. I've been having fun mixing fits. Tight over here, loose over here, and this one's no exception. This slouchy top is fitted over the tummy and poofy on top, so you get a snatched waist and it's super comfy to wear. This one's a beginner-friendly affair using only a few stitches, so if you're new to the craft, this is a great place to jump in. Or if you want something cute to make, that works too. Speaking of work, we work hard to deliver new tutorials twice a week, so consider subscribing. A ton of you have hit me up like, "Hey T, when does that top come out?" And I'm like, "It's been out, love." But if you want to avoid that altogether, click the bell. It's the best way to be notified when there's a new upload, and if you like what you see, be sure to give this video and any other video a thumbs up. It goes a long way to helping the channel grow so I can keep making tutorials. Now it's time to get the show on the road, so without further ado, for this project, any category 4 yarn will work. I used a total of 270 grams of yarn. That's 350 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5 and 6.5 millimeter hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite way to exercise. For me, aerial silk will always hold a special place in my heart. It's a great workout and it always made me feel pretty. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, double crochet, and extended half double crochet. This tutorial is for size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we're first going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're going to grab our 5 millimeter hook, and we're all going to start by making a chain the height that we want our shoulder band to be. Now I want mine to be just about 1 inch or 2 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 4. And now that we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain. And then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, insert with a slip stitch. So what we're going to do is bring our hook to that second chain. Should have 2 loops on our hook, and all we're going to do is yarn over and pull through both of those loops. You want to make sure that you're not tugging too tight on your working yarn after you finish the stitch, otherwise the next rows are going to be really difficult to work into. Let's do the next slip stitch. Into that next chain, you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops on your hook. Let's do this again. Into your next chain, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, and then into your next chain, which is my last, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain until you reach the end of your row. And when you're at the end of your row, we're going to do more slip stitches, but now they're going to be in the back loops. So in order to work your way up to the next row, all we're going to do is chain 1. That's our turning chain. And then we're going to flip our work. And from here, they're going to be within the back loops. So we're going to need to find that first available stitch, which is this one right here. Then we're going to insert our hook into the back loop or the loop that's furthest away from us. From here, I'm going to yarn over, pull through both of those loops. That is our back loop slip stitch. Let's do this again. Into that next stitch, there's 2 loops to work into. We're going to be working into the back loop only. Yarn over, pull through everything, and let's just finish off this row together. Into that next stitch, insert your hook into that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and then my last stitch is right here, so into that back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything. And now we have 2 rows. And from here on, we're going to continue with our back loop slip stitch row until we get an even number of rows that can stretch around our shoulders. So let's just get started with the next row. To work our way up to our next slip stitch row, we are always going to do a chain 1 and flip our work. insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, into that next stitch's back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything. And continue to do this until we have an even number of rows that can stretch around our shoulders, and I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so I am back and I have just finished up my shoulder band. Now I have a total of 132 rows, and this is just about 21.5 inches or 55 centimeters, and that measurement is unstretched. And what we're going to do from here is seam our two ends together. So the first thing we're going to want to do is place the two ends on top of each other, making sure that the rest of our band isn't twisted. And then, since our working yarn is already in through one end, we're just going to insert your hook in through the other corner. We're going to yarn over and pull through everything. And now we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam. So how we do that is we're going to find that first available stitch into our front panel. We're going to insert into that front loop, or the loop that's closest to us. And then within the back panel, we're going to find that first available stitch and insert your hook into that back loop. So insert, should have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through everything. That's our first outside loop slip stitch seam. Let's do that again. Into that next available stitch, we're going to insert into that front loop. And then into that next available stitch, we're going to insert into that back loop. Yarn over and pull through everything. And since I just have 1 stitch left, I'm just going to do that with you guys, but you guys continue until you don't have any more stitches left. But into that front panel, insert into that front loop. And then into the back panel, insert into that back loop. Yarn over, pull through everything. Now I don't have any more stitches left, and I have just finished up my seam. All I'm going to do from here is do a chain 1, and then I'm going to grab my 6.5 millimeter hook. Alright, and with my 6.5 millimeter hook, I'm going to insert my hook onto our working yarn, and all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every side row. So let's get this started. A really quick tip is that it might be a little tight to work into because this was done with a smaller hook, but it is possible. So to do the first one, we're going to need to find our first side slip stitch row. This is mine right here. It's going to be this divot for me. So I'm going to insert my hook into that top loop. We're going to have to find it, and then single crochet. And then we're going to find our next side slip stitch row, which is this raised row for myself. I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook with 1 single crochet. Let's just do 1 more set together. This is my next side slip stitch row, which is this divot. Find that top loop, insert your hook with a single crochet, and then into the next side row, which is this raised row, find that top loop, insert your hook, and single crochet into there. And we're going to keep doing this, making our way all the way around, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain 1 space and cut. And a really quick tip is that we are going to have the same amount of single crochets as slip stitch rows as we have. So making sure that the numbers are the same, I will meet you guys back once it's all done. Right, so we are back. We have just finished up single crocheting along the entirety of our piece. And what we need to do now is insert our stitch markers into the middle stitches to separate our front from our back panel. So what we're going to start with is by inserting our stitch markers into the 2 stitches that we have on either side of our tail end. And then from there, we're going to count out until we have the middle stitches and insert our stitch markers into there. So if you guys have my numbers, I had a total of 132 single crochets. And half of that is 66. So from one of my stitch markers, I counted out 66 and insert this stitch marker. And then from the other stitch marker, I did the same thing. You should have 2 middle stitches because we have an even number of stitches, and 2 stitches on the outsides of our tail end. Once we have this, we can set this off to the side, and then we can get started on the front panel. So getting our front panel started, we're going to start by making a slip knot. Then we're going to take our 6.5 millimeter hook, and we're all going to start by making a chain that reaches from the top of our shoulder to right underneath our chest, plus about 1 inch or 2, because we want this top portion to fold over. So I've already measured mine out. I need my chain to be about 12.5 inches or 32 centimeters. So I'm going to start by making a chain of 40. And now that we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain and start with a chain 3. Now that doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and from here we're going to yarn over, preparing for an extended half double crochet. We're going to start by inserting our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the 4th chain from our hook. So go ahead and insert. We're going to yarn over, pull through that loop. We should have 3 loops on our hook now, so what we're going to do is yarn over, pull through just that first loop. We should still have 3 loops, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That is how we do an extended half double crochet. Let's do this again. Start with the yarn over, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, and pull through. Should have 3 loops on our hook, so yarn over, pull through just that first loop. Should have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops. Let's do this one more time. Start with the yarn over, into that next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that loop. We're going to yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops. Now altogether we should have 1, 2, 3 extended half double crochets, and we're going to continue to do this, making our way all the way down our chain. So just remember, yarn over, into the next chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row. Alright, so our first row is all finished up, and we are going to continue to do extended half double crochets for the majority of this piece. The only difference now is that they're going to be within the back loops, so let's get the next row started. Once we have this row all finished up, to get started on all of our extended half double crochet rows, we're going to do a chain 3. Now that chain still doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and we want the height, so go ahead and flip your work, yarn over, and then from here we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch's back loop. So there should be 2 loops for us to work into. Just insert into that back loop, pull through, and just like before, we're going to yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's do this just one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook into that next stitch's back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And all we're going to do is continue on with this pattern with no increases or no decreases until we get the shoulder width that we want. So I'm actually going to keep going until this reaches from the tip of my shoulder until it reaches the base of my neck, and then I will meet you guys back so that we can connect it into the shoulder band. Alright, so I am back with my shoulder portion. I did a total of 12 rows, and my width is just about 6 inches or 15 centimeters, and now we can connect it into the shoulder band. So what we're going to do is bring that down, and then we're going to be inserting our hook into one of our stitch marker stitches. I want to insert my hook into this one, so I'm just going to insert my hook into there. I can take out my stitch marker now. And then now that my hook is into there, I can yarn over and pull through everything to secure the shoulder portion to the band. And then all we're going to do from here is work our way across to the other stitch marker that we have along the other side with more extended half double crochets into the back loops. So let's just work our way up to the next row. In order to get the same height that we have for the row, we're going to need to slip stitch up the next 2 stitches into the base. So since this stitch is occupied, I'm going to slip stitch into 1 and then 2. So go ahead and insert your hook into there with 1 slip stitch, and then into that next stitch with another slip stitch, and then we're going to flip our work. From here, we're going to continue doing our back loop extended half double crochets. So just as a refresher, we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop, pull through, should have 3 loops on our hook, so yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Continue to do this, making our way all the way down, and when we reach the end of the row, do a chain 3, flip your work, and then continue with your back loop extended half double crochets, working your way back towards our base. I'll meet you guys back just to show you guys how we're going to connect it. All right, so we have made our way down with our back loop extended half double crochets, did a chain 3 and then worked our way all the way up, and now we're going to connect it into the band together. So how we're going to do that is slip stitch into that second available stitch. From here, we're going to count up 1, 2 stitches. Into that second stitch, go ahead and insert your hook, and we're going to slip stitch, so yarn over and pull through everything on your hook. And now this row is nice and attached, and from here it's going to be a repeat of these 2 rows, making our way all the way down to our next stitch marker. Since we're here, I'm just going to get started with the next row with you guys and let you guys do the rest on your own. So from here, we do need to work our way up to the next row, so we're going to be slip stitching up the next 2 stitches. There is our first slip stitch, and then there is our next slip stitch. Go ahead and flip your work, and continue to put 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch. And then from there, I will meet you guys back once we reach our other stitch marker. All right, so we have just made our way all the way across to our other stitch marker. Now we should have our stitch marker stitch left over, and we have this stitch left over because when we connected it, we slip stitched just into that first stitch and then we moved on to the next 2 stitches. So we should all have 1 stitch left over. If you guys are at the base like me, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to work our way up to the next row. If you guys are along the end, just hang tight. I'll show you guys how to connect your work after that. But if you guys are like me, what we're going to do from here is work on our first shoulder row. And we're going to start by slip stitching into that stitch marker stitch. And then we still need to work our way up to the next row. We're going to say that that slip stitch was our first chain because you know how we do a chain of 3 after every row. So we're going to chain an extra 2. So we have 1, that's our slip stitch, 2, 3, and flip our work. And now that we're here, we're going to continue on with our back loop extended half double crochets. And this is going to be the shoulder portion. So we again have no increases and no decreases. And we're going to continue on with this until we have the same amount of shoulder rows as our other side. So if you guys have my numbers, I did a total of 12 shoulder rows. I'm going to do my 12, do a chain up, a 1 and cut, and then I will meet you guys back. All right, so to get started on the shoulder row, if you guys ended along the bottom, all you guys are going to do is start by doing your chain 3, then do your back loop, extended half double crochets, making your way all the way up, and then leave that last stitch that we have right before we reach the base. And then I'll meet you guys back because we're going to do a decrease. All right, so I just made my way back up. I did a partial row just to show you guys. And don't mind this red stitch marker. This is for my own work. So what we're going to do, since we have 1 stitch left, we're going to do a decrease into this stitch, then also into that stitch marker stitch. So we're going to start with a yarn over, insert your hook into that last back loop, pull through. Also insert your hook into that stitch marker stitch, yarn over, pull through, and from here we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. That's how we do our decrease of 2 back loop extended half double crochets, and this counts as your first shoulder row. So from here, just do a chain 3, flip your work, and then do your same shoulder rows with no increases and no decreases. I'll meet you guys back once we have this section all finished up. All right, so I'm back and I have just finished up the entirety of my front panel. My total width is now 26 inches or 66 centimeters. And now that we have done our chain up, a 1 and cut, we're going to repeat everything that we did here on the other side. So we're going to start by making the same chain count and doing our back loop extended half double crochets for the same amount of shoulder rows. And then we're going to slip stitch it into that next stitch marker stitch that we have into the band and work our way all the way down, including the shoulder portion. I'll meet you guys back once the entirety of our back panel is all finished up. All right, so I'm back and I have just finished up both my front and my back panel, and now we are going to seam our shoulder. So the first thing we're going to do is flip our work wrong side out, meaning that the seam that we have for the band is going to be along the inside. Once we have that, we're going to be inserting our hook into the 2 stitches that we have into the band that both the front and the back panel is coming out of. So since I left my stitch markers in, it's going to be these stitches, but if not, you can just eyeball it. And now I'm going to take my stitch markers out. And now that our hook is into those stitches, we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. We're doing this so that we don't have any gaps where the shoulder is. And what we're going to do is put 2 single crochets into every side row that we have. So let's start by finding our first side row into the front panel. This is mine right here. So I'm going to insert my hook. Find that first side row into the back panel, which is this one right here. And then I'm going to single crochet just once. Let's do this again. We're going to be putting another single crochet into the same side row. So into that same first one, insert your hook, and then the same thing into the back. So into that same side row that our first single crochet is into, single crochet into there. Now we're putting 2 single crochets into every side row so that it keeps its width, because if we just put 1, it'll shrink up on us. Let's do this again. This is my next side row, so insert your hook into there. And then this is my next side row into the back panel, insert my hook into there and single crochet. Now we're going to be putting 1 more into that same side row into both the front and back panel. Should be a little bit easier to find since our single crochet already has them gathered. So just insert your hook, making sure that we're working into both the front and back panel, and single crochet. And we're going to keep doing this, making our way all the way down until we don't have any more side rows left to work into, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat everything that we just did here on the other side. All right, we have just finished up seaming our shoulders on both sides, and now we're going to seam our sides. The first thing we're going to want to do is insert our stitch marker right where we want the sleeve to be. And I've inserted my stitch marker into the 20th stitch. And from the bottom, this is just about 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. And now we're going to do another single crochet seam all the way up until we reach our stitch marker. So start by inserting your hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now let's just do the first few. This is my first stitch that I have right here into the front panel, so I'm going to insert my hook into there. And this is my next stitch that I have into the back panel. I'm going to insert my hook into there. And from here, all I'm going to do is single crochet them together. Let's do another one. This is my next single crochet into the front panel. I'm going to insert my hook into there. And then this is my next single crochet into the back panel. Insert your hook and single crochet them together. We're going to keep doing this until we reach our stitch marker. Once we reach our stitch marker, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then do the same thing that we just did here on the other side. All right, so we are all finished seaming our sides, and what we're going to do now is single crochet along the bottom so we can get started on the bottom band. So how this is going to work is we're going to grab our 5mm hook. We're going to insert our hook into any one of our side rows. It doesn't matter which one. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook and pull through. And from here, what we're going to do is single crochet into one side row and then do a decrease into the next 2 and then repeat. So let's just do the first few. Now to get this started, we are going to do a chain 1 to secure. And then into that first side row that we have, we're going to insert with just 1 single crochet. So go ahead and insert your hook with just 1 single crochet. And then into the next 2, we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 single crochets. So into that next side row, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then into that next side row as well, insert, pull through, should have 3 loops on our hook. So yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops. Now all together, we should have taken up 1, 2, 3 side rows, and we should have 2 stitches. Let's do the next set. We're going to start with our single crochet again. So insert your hook into that next side row with just 1 single crochet. And then into the next 2, do a decrease of 2 single crochets. So into that next side row, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then into that next side row, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops. Let's just do 1 more. Into that next side row. There goes our first single crochet. And then into the next 2, a decrease of 2. So insert, pull through, insert, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And we're going to continue to do this, making our way all the way around and slip stitch into that chain 1 space. We have just finished up single crocheting along the bottom of our piece, and now we're going to start working on the bottom. So right after our slip stitch into that chain 1 space, we are going to make a chain the length that we want our bottom to be. Now I want mine to be just about 7 inches or 17 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 35. Now that we have our chain, we do want to make sure that our work is flipped right side out and that the bottom is faced away from us. And now that we have that, we are going to block off that last chain and do a chain up of 3. That chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and what we're going to do is double crochet into that chain that we blocked off, or the 4th chain from our hook. So start with a yarn over, insert your hook into that chain, we're going to yarn over and pull through. We should have 3 loops on our hook now, so yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do this again. Yarn over, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull through that loop. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And that is how we do our double crochet. We're going to continue to put 1 double crochet into every chain. Alright, we've just put 1 double crochet into every chain, and now we need to connect it into the base. The first thing that we do want to make sure when connecting it into the base is that our work is flipped right side out and the bottom is faced away from us, and we do want to be working clockwise so that our ribbing for the next row can be seen. So what we're going to do once we have all that settled down, we're going to count 1, 2 stitches. We're going to slip stitch into that 2nd stitch into the base to close off our double crochet row, and then our next row is going to be a back loop slip stitch row. So all that's going to be is a slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, flip your work, and now we're going to put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So start by inserting your hook into that first back loop, yarn over, pull through everything. Into that next back loop, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through everything, and just 1 more into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through everything. Continue to put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Now that we have slip stitched all the way down, we're now going to go back to doing our double crochet, but from here on out they're going to be within the back loop, so let's just do the first one. Start with a chain 3 to start up every double crochet row and flip our work. And from here we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Continue to do this, making our way all the way down, and I'll show you how we're going to connect it into the base just one more time. Alright, so we are almost done with our row number 3. We're going to connect it into the base now. So just like how we did this one, we're going to count up the next 2 stitches into the base. There's 1, there's 2, slip stitch into there, and slip stitch into that next stitch to get started on our back loop slip stitch row. Flip your work, and then just put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And all we're going to do is keep repeating those 2 rows until we don't have any more stitches left, and then I will meet you guys back so that we can seam everything together. I've just made my way all the way around with my back loop double crochet and back loop slip stitch rows. I don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now we're going to seam it together. We're going to want to make sure that our work is slipped right side out because now we're going to be doing an outside loop slip stitch seam. And what we're going to do from there is insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through everything. And from here, let's do our outside loop slip stitch seam. We're going to start by inserting our hook into that first available stitch, into that outside loop, or the loop that's closest to us, and then into the back panel, find that next available stitch, insert into that next stitch, making sure we're working into the back loop, yarn over and pull through everything. Let's do this again. Into this next stitch, into the front panel, insert your hook only in through that front loop, and then into the back panel, we're going to insert our hook only in through that back loop. Should now have 3 loops on our hook, so yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's do just 1 more. Into the next stitch into the front panel, insert only in through that front loop, and then into the back panel, insert only in through that back loop. yarn over, and pull through everything. Then we're going to continue to do this, making our way all the way up, and we don't have any more stitches left, to a chain up of 1 and cut. All right, we have just finished up seaming our bottom band, and we are actually all done now. The last thing we're going to have to do is weave in all of our ends. And there you have it, y'all. We are all done. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Check us out on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. All of those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!